US Senator John McCain has been on a visit to Egypt to discuss the arrest of NGO members accused of inciting protests against the nation's post-revolution authorities. He says the two sides are close to finding a solution. Some of the organisations involved allegedly received funding from America. Well, for more, I'm now joined live by Mark Glenn. He's a writer for the American Free Press newspaper. From Coeur d'Alene. Thank you very much indeed for being with us. So McCain says Washington and Cairo are very close to resolving the issue. Apparently they have agreed on some sort of deal. What could that be?
I seriously doubt that this is the case. I think McCain being Egypt, we have to remember that McCain is the president of the National Republican Institute, which is an adjunct of the National Endowment for Democracy, which is a U.S. State Department-funded organization that is used for toppling regimes all over the world. We have heard about the color revolutions that have taken place in Eastern Europe and in other locales, and what we've seen take place in the Middle East, particularly over the last year, has merely been an extension of that. What has worked in Eastern Europe, they've now brought to the Middle East, and Egypt is one of just several players that have been victimized by this. And so these American, let's just call them for what they are saboteurs who are out there agitating to continue this unrest in Egypt. They are there acting as agents of foreign influence. And McCain, being president of one particular branch of this spy agency, let's just call it for what it is, the National Endowment for Democracy, McCain being there, he's to walk away from anything. I think at the end of the day, what America and Israel want to see take place is for continued instability in Egypt, because the long-range goal in all of this is for Israel to have a casus belli in order to go to war against Egypt and to reclaim the Sinai Peninsula that she was forced to give up at the 1979 Camp David peace accords. She has always bristled over the fact that she had lost this very resource-rich territory and has just been waiting for the opportunity for the political events, political atmosphere to change in such a way that she would be justified in launching war against Egypt. All of this, of course, can be understood by going back, and reading a policy paper that was adopted by the Israeli government, written by Oded Yinon. It's entitled Strategy for Israel in the 1980s, that specifically discussed Egypt and the need to create instability in the country as a precursor to launch operation against Egypt by means.
But surely there'll be many saying Egypt needs the US needs Egypt, when we consider the funding that Egypt receives, economic funding and, of course, the funding for its military, in return, of course, for observing and keeping that peace deal with Egypt set up, back in 1979. So surely the US and Egypt can't afford to fall out under this new regime, can they, under this new government?
Well, the United States certainly can, because the United States in this case is basically acting as, once again, a proxy for furthering Israel's foreign policy objectives in the region. So the United States has nothing to lose from this, just as she had nothing to lose from the territorial war that took place in 1967.
But doesn't Israel have a lot to lose over this if that peace treaty, of course, does collapse?
Absolutely not. Israel never wanted the peace treaty to begin with. Israel's not worried about Egypt's military. Okay, Israel is the fourth most powerful military force in the world. She Egypt in 1967, literally with just a few hours, and she would do the same today. So Israel is not in the least bit worried about this at all. Whatever theatricism that she may be displaying as relations with Egypt begin to break down is merely that. It is just theatrics. This is exactly what she wants to see take place, because she has war on her mind in order to regain this territory that she claims by biblical right is hers.
Mark, interesting perspective. Thanks very much indeed for sharing that with us live here on RT. Mark Glenn, writer for American Free Press newspaper. Thank you.
Thank you.